So quite a few people have noticed by now that Digital Homicide has crawled out of its squalid little shithole in an attempt to flog more of its ridiculous games with a brand new website, Digital Homicide Uncensored, ooh how raw, which contains a blog full of, in my opinion, a pack of fucking bullshit. After the last time they publicly humiliated themselves when I heard of this blog, I initially thought, you know what, I'll ignore it. I won't respond. They're doing their usual song and dance routine, they've put their stupid games up on itch now. What's the best way to draw attention to themselves? Bring me up again. For all their claims over the years that they've just wanted to be left alone, they really like drawing attention to themselves with combative blog posts full of nonsense, because they're still, after all these years, so fucking bitter about the fact that James Romine tried to sue me for $15 million for an absurd amount of money that, by the way, he didn't even get the math right on in the lawsuit because he's a fucking bonehead. They're still so bitter about this lawsuit that was never from Digital Homicide, wink wink, it was only from James Romine, wink wink, which was dismissed with prejudice, which is about the best result they could have hoped for, because there was no way me with a real lawyer versus James Romine with his baby's first lawsuit kit was ever gonna pay the fucker one thin dime, let alone $15 million, which again, I need to tell you, was totted up wrong. The math in the lawsuit was wrong. The individual amounts he claimed I would owe him did not add up to the overall amount, because, bonehead, they are fucking lucky they got off fucking lightly. But now they're back whining about the injustices of the world, complaining about being misrepresented, while publishing posts that are full of misrepresentation, which again is why I'm here, because I wasn't going to respond to this, then I made the mistake of reading some of their utter shite. Now I know there are some people that never want to see me talk about Digital Homicide again, and those people aren't necessarily wrong, this doesn't need to be raked up, but considering these imbecilic goons cost me quite a lot of money in lawyers' fees, I'm always going to reserve the right to verbally kick the shit out of that pair of imbeciles. Anyway, there are things in the blog I want to address because, again, this is very personal for me. I will ignore most people who misrepresent me, 99% of the people that publish shit about me. I ignore, I don't read their work or watch their videos or what have you, but again, Digital Homicide, bit more personal than that, and seeing Robert Romine be so fucking duplicitous in the blog posts he's published, well, I am gonna be self-indulgent and go through some of Robert Romine's garbage, figuratively. I don't want to get another stupid lawsuit claiming that I threatened to go through his bins. So Robert's already posted 3 articles in 2 days, because this is what the Romine brothers are like, they just can't stop picking at their own emotional scabs. This first one, what happened to Digital Homicide? It's some top shelf whining, and they've made themselves some funny little points. Was Digital Homicide an asset flipper? Contrary to massive amounts of articles and videos on the topic, I never took a complete project and published it under Digital Homicide like it was my game. Thousands of hours of development went into the... Thousands of hours! Look, mate, I invented the term asset flip. I know what it means, you asset flipper. Shut the fuck up. Did Digital Homicide sue Jim Sterling? Now, this is the interesting part. Robert says, actually, my brother sued Jim Sterling, not Digital Homicide or myself. This isn't to say I didn't agree with him. I did. I just wasn't listed in the lawsuit. Now, this is an interesting situation. Again, this has been described in my video on the topic, but Robert Romine apparently is gonna pretend that that video was never published. So let's talk about that. Yes, on paper, James Romine sued me, not Digital Homicide, except, and the judge pointed this out, the grievances in the original lawsuit pertain to Digital Homicide. Now, they had 2 choices: continue with that lawsuit and get a lawyer, because a lawyer would have to represent their company, or redo the complaint so it's only about James Romine. And I feel like not bringing that up is, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah, misrepresentation, the thing that the Romines claim happens to them all the time. Anyway, contrary to all of the articles and videos you'll see on the internet, the lawsuit wasn't about censoring criticism. It's very clearly stated in the lawsuit that the case was about defamation, and the defamation was false accusation of theft. Now this is what the Romines think is their smoking gun. it's not. In order to prove it was willful defamation, they'd have to, well, prove it was willful defamation, which it wasn't. I've admitted to this smoking gun they think they have, right? I made a mistake in an article I wrote about them. I can't even remember the full body of that article, but it was, it was about DigiHom and all of their nonsense. And in the original version of the article, I suggested that they lifted a piece of artwork from DeviantArt and passed it off as their own. That's not what happened. They bought the image from Shutterstock and then used that as official artwork because apparently they don't know anyone with artistic talent. Now, it's very well worth noting that their evidence of this is the edited version of the article where in parentheses I mentioned I edited the article to take out some accidentally misleading information. Misleading information that was in that article so briefly they don't even have a fucking screenshot of it. I very, very, very fucking quickly admitted and corrected the mistake. All their screenshot shows is me trying to be as, journalistically responsible as possible. So to claim that's evidence of defamation of character, what's the word I'm looking for? How do I feel? I feel defamed. No, I really don't want this video to go on much longer than 10 minutes. I'd rather spend all day playing The Binding of Isaac. Digital Homicide sue Steam users. They bring that up in their article. I'm not going to address that. That wasn't about me. Wasn't Jim Sterling the only reason anyone ever knew about Digital Homicide? That's an interesting one. The marketing plans I created made a large following for Digital Homicide. Sterling continuously covered us because it made his channel grow, not the other way around. The attention from Sterling just brought drama to our bought drama to our games and store pages, not sales. Easy example, Dungeons of blah blah blah. Basically they're saying, oh, you didn't make us, we made you. Digital Homicide, we made you! Not really. I didn't get any lasting fame off that. I've had a stable business for, I think it's like over 14 years now. I just pootle along as a D-lister. Always have, always will be. I'm more or less fine with that now. I've made my peace with the glass ceiling. Anyway, if you go back over the history, you'll see that they're the ones that kept kicking this up. They just couldn't let things go. And I do believe it's quite telling that they're here, Digital Homicide Uncensored, with their games on itch, and they brought me up. In not one, but 3 blog posts. Who keeps going after who again? Anyway, their Why Was Jim Sterling Sued post just rakes over the muck that I've already addressed, so we'll move on to this other one, which is just, it's such a juicy plum. So here's their latest. Why was Digital Homicide's lawsuit thrown out of court? They say it wasn't. I mean, I guess it depends on your understanding of the term thrown out. It was dismissed with prejudice, that's all I'll say on the matter. First, Digital Homicide didn't sue anyone. James Romine did by saying Digital Homicide, yeah, they keep bringing this up. Anyway, second, the lawsuit wasn't thrown out, it was dismissed as part of a settlement. I'll detail this below. Be careful with that. Saying thrown out is used to support the false claim that the lawsuit was frivolous, which I've already written an article about, and it was not frivolous. Writing an article about it doesn't make it true, especially when you've written it, Robert. No, the lawsuit was frivolous. Spurious bullshit. The lawsuit was jam-packed with utter guff. At best, it was frivolous. At worst, it was character assassination. So what actually happened that led up to the dismissal? Let's start at the first mention of the case contents. I personally had a conversation with Sterling on the phone, which he later claimed was me threatening him to silence his criticism. This is false. No, mate, no. This is true. I actually told him specifically I couldn't tell him what to do. All I wanted was for him to cover us like he would cover anyone else instead of specifically targeting us and bombarding every single game we released, game we posted to Greenlight or website update. I literally begged him to just be cool, my exact words, and was met with his normal arrogant contemptuousness. I told him I didn't want a legal fight even though he had already committed defamation and that it would just be a waste of money for both of us. Unable to stand any more of his awful rude behaviour, I ended the phone call saying see you in court. I decided against it and as usual just wanted to focus on making games. Right, here's the thing though. During that conversation, Robert Romine did threaten a lawsuit. This was fairly early on in the conversation, and after that I think we had a very polite conversation. In my opinion, I've got a very nice phone manner, actually. I thought we were talking and potentially reaching an understanding, and then I told him that because he threatened to, bring a lawsuit to me, at the very least I would need to consult with my lawyer before we agreed to anything. At that point, Robert turned hostile and then said, "See you in court." For some reason, he's not brought that bit up. It's very fucking simple, folks. You threaten to sue me, I'm gonna talk to my fucking lawyer. Blah blah blah, same old stuff that they bring up, blah blah blah, defamation, oh, people are misrepresenting us. Now, the case itself took forever, stretched out by Sterling taking a long time to obtain a lawyer, the lawyer asking for a 30-day extension, and the fact that defamation cases are on a lower tier of case priority, especially pro se. Right, I didn't drag your stupid lawsuit out. Unlike you, I have a brain in my head, so when I'm sued, I look for a lawyer, and I had to look for one in Arizona, didn't I, you fucking idiots? You fucking morons! I had to get a lawyer because I was being sued. That's not dragging a case out, that's being a responsible adult. I know to you, that's an alien fucking concept, but the rest of us in the adult world have to have adult solutions to things like frivolous lawsuits. Sterling's lawyer, seeing my brother's willingness to settle, then demanded James R. to cover his legal expenses and some other ridiculous stipulations made by Sterling. He threatened to do all the lovely things lawyers do, like scouring your financial records. He would have had to since you all talked about money so much. Requiring psychological evaluation. He had to, you claimed severe emotional distress, and other things just to make you miserable. Those of you donating to Sterling's Patreon, I'm sure he appreciates your contributions directly or indirectly paying for this. What is this shit intimating that the Patreon money was misappropriated or something? That's my income. That's how I pay for things. You made me need to pay for a lawyer. If my patrons need to be upset at anybody, it would be you fucking clowns. He also threatened to add me to the lawsuit if my brother didn't comply. What he wasn't aware of was I was standing there during the threat, and all of a sudden he was now on the phone with the person he was threatening. Yeah, that's the thing. You two are so closely connected, you would have to be part of the lawsuit, Robert. You were my point of contact for Digital Homicide. I can't even remember if I've ever spoken to James Romine, ever in my life. I may have done, but it pales in comparison to the amount of times you were calling me up. You were representing the company and your brother. You were threatening to sue me. There was no way that this would have went to court without you being involved, Robert. My lawyer merely pointed that out. Anyway, the rest of it is just a big pity party. Just, oh, we were so misrepresented. Oh, people thought we were tyrants. Oh. How the fuck did Robert manage to write any of these blog posts with his wrists nailed to the fucking cross? Anyway, I don't even think I covered all of the character assassination that's in these blog posts. I'm sure more is coming. But the very existence of these blogs points to Digital Homicide's long-running inability to let this go, while claiming I'm the one that can't let this go. Robert, you and your brother are a pair of fucking dicks. That's all there is to it. You're a pair of fucking dicks. Your lawsuit was ridiculous. Get yourselves fucking sorted out, okay? Sort your fucking lives out, mate.